Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the VR Link. How are you doing? Thank you ever so much for joining us. It feels very, very rushed at the moment. I do apologise. I've been completely flat out. This is episode 15 of Series 2, the VR Link, your weekly podcast where you can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch and Twitter at 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST and 11 a.m. PST. On this show, we discuss the latest news, games, and goings-on in virtual reality. My name is GT from Gamertag VR, and alongside me most weeks is the mighty Matt from BMF. How you doing, Matt? You good?
I am good, yes, thank you. Staying warm and trying to keep the snow away.
You got cocoa, haven't you? You said you got some cocoa.
I do, yeah. Some cocoa. There's snow outside. It's starting to feel more like Christmas here already.
Do you think your cocoa is warmer because it's in a BMF cup?
I think it's hot because it's in a BMF.
Sizzling. We have also been kindly joined by Petrifying Pumpkins to talk all things PSVR today. He is a very hard-working member of the VR community. He makes pure PSVR content and is the #1 Firewall 0 Hour channel. How you doing, Pump? You good?
That's probably true. I'm doing very good, GT. Thank you very much for having me on your beautiful podcast.
Mate, end of the day,
of course, as well.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. End of the day, when I think about PSVR, I know your channel and your community is solid, and you've only done PSVR. You love PSVR.
Sure do.
And I watch you do your own like update news reactions, don't you, and stuff?
Yeah.
What's going on?
News updates now and again if I can get the time. But you know how it is, kids, all that kind of stuff.
So today, one of the main topics of this show, because there isn't actually that much news, to be honest, going on, and that's not the reason, it was always going to be a subject, is some comments made by PlayStation's own Jim Ryan about PSVR. So I was going to go through and find out what is Pump's thoughts and feelings on this, because I've got thoughts and feelings on this. Also, in the chat, feel free to jump in. Let us know your thoughts and feelings on this subject. And I will now carry on with my regular gumph. For the audiophiles amongst you, you can follow the show and listen again on Spotify, Apple and Anchor. Just search the VR Link podcast, or you can use the links in the description. We are now doing 250 playbacks in audio format, which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you ever so much to everyone who follows us. Also, thank you ever so much to the legendary patrons and channel members whose names are listed below each and every episode. And if you enjoy the show and what you see here today, please consider joining them and getting your name in this legendary purple box. I don't know if you can see me because I've got a box in my way, but there's a box at the bottom with all the amazing people who support the channel. It might need updating a little bit, not on Patreon side, but on channel member side, because that went up a little bit this week. But I will get that sorted. I do apologise. And before we get into this week's news, most of our information is sourced from our friends at Upload VR and Road to VR, so be sure to give them a follow on your socials. How is everyone in the chat? I hope you're doing really well. Pump, what have you been playing this week? What have you been up to?
What have I been playing? I've been playing the waiting game for the PS5. You know, I'm kind of just been a little bit obsessing over that, looking at stuff. I know this is flat kind of talk. Demon Souls, stuff like that got me really excited.
Oh, man. Dude, that is the game that we're getting. Demon Souls looks incredible. I don't know if I can play it. I think I tried it on the Xbox a long time ago, and that game is so hard. But it looks so incredible now. It looks so incredible.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like
Godfall for me. Godfall looks amazing too.
Yeah, Godfall. Yeah, Godfall looks good.
You want that online fix? Yeah, Godfall is good for that co-op action.
What are you What are your like pre-order? Have you got any pre-order games, and have you gone physical or digital with the PS5?
For me,
both of you, anyone?
I'm trying to get my hands on a physical one, but that's proven to be more difficult than I thought. And the reason I'm going physical is because the games are so much more expensive. I'm hoping I can get some deals on some physical copies compared to digital.
Right. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I went for physical. I don't have any games pre-ordered yet. I figure I'll pick a few up if I have to digital, but I went physical primarily because my son has so many PS4 games. It'll just be easier to swap everything over, and hopefully whatever's compatible will work fine.
Yeah, so I went digital, but I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to regret it in the future. Because what happened with the disease, or whatever you want to call it, that's happened in the pandemic, my local game store rung me up and said, can you please come and pay for your PlayStation now? Because obviously everything's going to shut tomorrow. So I did, paid for it in full, all done. and then I've got a 6-hour window on November the 19th to pick it up. And if I don't pick it up, then I've got to wait to the end of lockdown to get it.
Okay.
When
So
I was,
stressful.
yeah, I was like, no way. Like, I cannot. November the 19th is now burning in my head more so than before, because if I miss that, for some crazy reason, I'm going to hate myself. But yeah, when I was in there talking to the guy, I was like, any chance I can like upgrade this to a physical? And he was like, nah, no way. There's like no physicals left.
No
and I
chance.
was
They're
like,
gone.
oh man, because I know realistically, I think on launch I would have used it. I think it's a 4K. Is it a 4K player as well?
Yeah.
Ultra
Oh,
HD.
No, well, it doesn't have the disk drive.
No, I thought. It was
Are you talking about the physical one?
yeah, the physical one. Is
Physical
that
one,
an
yes.
Oh,
ultra?
sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Is that an ultra?
Red card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
it'll play 4K Blu-rays. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like thinking, oh man, what about that for the future as well, you know? But then
Mm.
the other half of me that maybe get the digital was because if you're streaming or downloading, you get your 4K that way, and you know, so I'm stuck now anyway, regardless.
At least it looks better. The digital one just looks sleeker.
It does, yeah.
Have that lump on the side of it.
Yeah,
It's already big enough. That disc drive adds even more to it.
it's a monster of a console. It really is. It looks absolutely huge. To be fair, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. I was thinking the other day, like, because I'm going to bring it up here for PSVR content, if we can use it for PSVR content. And I'm sort of thinking, dude, I'm going to have to lay it down, because I think standing up, when it's just not going to fit anywhere. Because I think it's genuinely going to be bigger than I'm imagining. Even though I've
Yeah, I
seen
think
it
so.
in videos, I think
Yeah.
when I get it in my hands, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's huge.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where I'm going to put mine. I've got to clean off my entire TV stand just to be able to figure out where to put it.
Oh yeah. I don't. Unless it's going to go up, I might be able to put it up top somewhere. What was I going to say? So let's go into this thing. Let's go into
What
Jim
about what you
Ryan's-
guys have been playing? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, I've been playing Population this week. I played Population 1 over the weekend, because I had a bit of a break at the weekend. I was a bit burnt out, to be honest. I've checked out Cloudpunk, which is it's like a cyberpunk game. There's also apparently a what's it called? A Vorpex mod, so you can play it in VR. But I tried to use Oculus Link and it didn't work. So I've been told, don't use Oculus Link with it. Just go with the Rift S, and it should work fine. And the game's really cool, actually. I didn't play a lot of it, but apart from that, man, just Population 1. What about you, Matthew? What have you been playing?
I played some Population 1, but this week's been really slow for me for what I've been doing. I played some football in American football, I should say, in 2MD VR football earlier over the weekend. But other than that, I really haven't done a lot of stuff. I've just been kind of burnt out a little bit and trying to figure out what direction I want to go. It's just really slow right now.
Yeah, to be fair, like when something like the Quest 2 launches, it is all hands on deck. It is like mad. Got to get everything out there. Got to get it done. Let's say hello to some people in the chat. Who have we got with us today? We got Untitled Duck, Tasnic Gaming, Limitless, how you doing? Midlife, Lord Necton, Jenny Blue. Thank you ever so much for sharing it in the Facebook groups. Boy Brown. Who else have we got?
I see Decepticon lurking.
Really?
Pervin.
He does lurk a lot.
Tradition.
He does lurk a lot. I heard he actually gets in his own little box and cuts eye holes and watches
We
stream.
don't want to know what's going on under that box.
White Noise, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Unel Cortez. You right? Jake the Bot, Mighty Quinn, Mr. Trinidad. Nice, thank you. So, Mr. 777, you've got your pumpkin kids here, the pumpkin patch kids.
Yeah, I'm growing my own like game cat army type thing. You know? We're going to war. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Is it going to be Alvo? You're gonna Alvo's going to be the game cats versus the
I
pumpkin
don't know where
patch
it's going to
kids.
be. I gotta lure them into some game anyway.
Peter Den, how you doing? Watto, Rocksteady. Nice. Lord Necton, thank you all for joining us
Gooey
today.
Louie.
Really appreciate it. Anyone you notice in there, Pump, you want to say hello to? Derivative?
I'm saying look, Gooey Louie, I see him in there. Tradition.
Yeah, it's just
Tasnic. And Jackpot too, of course. We already got him. But just
Lewis
hello
Knight.
everyone who's been saying to me.
Danny Ward, Doctor Original. I loved it. I love people's names. VR Total Quest. I actually got a comment once, someone saying to me, "Can you stop? Can you not say hello to everyone in the chat?" And I was like, "I can do." Half of it, I love it, but the other half of it, I just love reading the names because they're so different. You don't really know anyone in real life with these cool names. Christopher Hart. They're part of Christopher Hart.
The Heartbreak Kid.
The game cat's out of the glue bag. We will fight to the death, damn pumpkins.
That's a good example.
They've sent someone in. They sent someone in to check what's going on. Right, so let's go through Mr. Ryan. In the interview, Jim Ryan seems rather unconvinced of the promise of VR, despite PSVR selling over 5 million headsets. Now, I remember hearing 10 million at one stage. I don't know why, but I remember about a year ago that someone said they possibly sold over 10 million. But if you look it up now, it's gone. That 10 million thing has just disappeared. It's now sitting around this 5 million thing. So,
I've never heard that 10 million myself. I feel like I've been waiting for the 6 million announcement to come for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think I just dreamt it. I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR, Ryan said. PlayStation believes in VR. Sony believes in VR. So you got to take these bits. PlayStation believes in VR. Sony believes in VR. And we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. If you left it there, it sounds brilliant, really. Because there's no time. We don't know. Then he's put, will it be this year? No. Which is fair enough because it's not long. Will it be next year? No. That's no good. But will it come at some stage? Well, after the first comments, we believe that. And I believe it as well. And we are very pleased with all the experience that we've gained with the PlayStation VR. And we look forward to seeing where that takes us in the future. So that takes us to 2022.
At the earliest.
Yeah, right.
Now, funny enough, and I know a lot of people are like, what? In my mind, I didn't see PSVR 2 happening until summer 2021 anyway. In my mind, I thought they was going to just get that launch done. Focus, because the main bread is PlayStation. Just PlayStation as it is.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations we've had before was, some people were like, when you're really passionate about something, you really enjoy it, you think the highest of it and you want to believe the best things. I could not see them launching a PlayStation and a headset alongside each other at the same time, because that would mean you going into a shop and laying down £900 potentially without knowing anything, in my mind, or even 1,000 with software. They don't want that. And that's clear this year in particular. A brand new console for £350 over here is just unreal. Like, that, when I paid for mine, my little girl was like, that's a lot of money. And I was like, it's not really. It's not what I expected. On consoles, I expected more.
It is to you.
I just expected it to be more. On this show, I remember saying I was expecting 500. I was expecting £500. That is my ballpark figure of because they are the lead console as well, at the moment. So, with that being said, pumpkins, how you feeling? How you feeling?
Okay, well, I think this whole this whole interview with Jim Ryan thing,
it's a crock of shit.
I mean, you can read it. It depends on the person reading it. There's two ways to look at this. In one way, he's saying the right things. VR, we believe in VR, Sony believes in VR. And in another way, he's kind of distancing himself from VR as well by saying, it's in the future sometime.
Yeah.
My takeaway is right now he's in PS5 mode. He's pushing that thing. He doesn't want to get caught up talking too much about VR, muddying any messages like that. So I do believe, I've said it all along. I feel like I've been saying it for years, that we won't get a PSVR 2 until midway into the PS5's life cycle, the same way we did with PSVR 1 and the PS4, if you know what I mean. I think it was like 3 years we had to wait.
3 years, yeah.
I
was just checking that.
I remember getting PlayStation VR, but very quickly getting a Pro to go with it as well.
Yeah, they came out together. The Pro and the VR, I think they were like a month apart.
All right.
But the part that stings is the fact that the PS5 seemingly will only support the PSVR 1 in a backwards compatibility kind of a method. So that's going to make that extra couple of years wait feel painful because we're not getting to tap into that new power with the original headset, which I think is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, there was another couple of... Yeah, so it also sounds like you won't be able to use your aim controller with PS5 games, for example, if they ever happen. If a PS5 VR game come out, the aim controller's no good to you.
I think it... Like, do you mean like a backwards compatible?
Yeah, so this little bit here, let me just try and find this bit, unless I didn't write it down. There's something I read today. Yeah, basically it was something about peripherals as well. That, yeah, you can play them in a backwards compatible sense, but that aim controller won't go to a PS5 VR game. Yeah?
Probably not.
Yeah, so...
Like if you mean like PSVR 2
yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like you'll still be able to play Firewall, as presumably, on PS5
yes.
with the aim controller.
Yes.
You'll just be doing this in a backwards compatibility kind of a manner.
Yes. And do you know what? I've just realised how awful it's going to feel to use move controllers on a PS5. I'm going to be like, wait, the mixture of the past and the future coming together to make something.
Especially when you have such a brand new controller for PS5.
Oh, look at him
flashing now. What's he got
He's
there?
flashing.
What's
He's
he got there?
putting the roof down. He's putting the roof down. He could have not, but he is. Oh, man. Yeah.
One thing I can say, though, is that if they do wait until about halfway through the life cycle, or like 3 years, because it was like 3 years and a month between, actually it was 2 years and 11 months between PS4 and PSVR, because PS4 launched in November, I believe, and PSVR launched in October, and it was the 3 years later. If they wait that long, the only thing I can say is it'll give them plenty of time to see how to make it the best that they can. And I hope what they do is, I'd like to see it sooner, but they take what they did with the controller, with the haptic triggers, and create a new controller that has nothing like the Move controller, completely rebuild it using the same the technology we have with the haptic feedback with this controller. I think probably what they're doing, like you said, GT, is they're concentrating solely on the PS5 right now, because that is their bread and butter. PSVR, even though it's a lot of people, 5 million, that number is not a lot in comparison to the amount of PS4 users. It's very minuscule in comparison.
What is it? 100? There's over 100 million, isn't there? I think.
Right. So it's like
now, I think.
5% or less of the people that own a PS5 have PSVR, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So it is a very small number, and even though they believe in VR, from my perspective, I think what they're doing is concentrating on that launch right now and making sure this goes smoothly so that they can have a solid console launch with enough people to buy into PSVR 2 when they actually release it. And that, to me, is disappointing, because I really want to see the next iteration of it, especially if some of the rumors are true eventually, you know, with how they could be wireless somehow, you know, and there's a ton of stuff that's been said all around. And I'm really excited to see it. That being a couple of years or 3 years away is disappointing, but at the same time, that's going to give a lot of time for the PS5 to become ingrained like PS4 did, a lot of time for VR to be more mainstream. They're going to let everyone else do the hard work of bringing VR more mainstream, like Oculus and, you know, any other company, and then jump in like Sony can, because they already have a built-in audience. And you're going to have those people that have VR and already have a PS5 at that point and want to jump into something brand new.
It's weird for me. The whole thing of PlayStation VR was PlayStation VR was the Quest of 2016 to like 2018. People went absolutely crazy for it. As far as I was concerned, my world changed. I was before the pandemic. People were coming around. I'm showing it to them. It was like the best technology and toy I'd ever had. Do you know what I mean? It was the best thing. And I know there's people in the chat. It changed their lives. They're here. You know, I can just see Andy Sky leaving a comment there. He's put basically he's bought a Quest 2 because PSVR is pretty much dead. Now, in terms of channel of content on my channel, PSVR has been dead for quite a while because I tend to only play new stuff. And another thing to go into, there hasn't been a lot of new stuff, especially for a multi-format channel. Now, not for a PSVR channel, and I think some people forget that, because if you're a purely PSVR channel, it might have been later, but you're getting the big games, and you have been getting the big games. You got Pistol Whip, you got Star Wars Vader Immortal. What other ones? Recently?
Squadrons just came out. Well, that was like a multi-plat release.
Yeah,
Simultaneous, I should say.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a big one.
yeah. I think some people, because a lot of there's not many, like Matt's a Quest channel, yeah, but sometimes he dives into a bit of PCVR now and again. There's not many soul channels, yeah, because it's hard as well. You know, you're kind of almost being exclusive means you're also limiting as well. You know, it's a double-edged sword, I guess. But in terms of that, you also get the strongest relationships. So yeah, for me personally, being a multi-format channel, because for me, I just wanted to play more games. That was it. I saw more stuff and I wanted to play it, and I've been the same with my consoles, whether it be VR or consoles. I just wanted to play more. Yeah, as Lewis just said, saints and sinners. You know, like that's what I mean. I think some people forget that. I think some people see it and go, well, there's nothing new on PSVR. But if you only had PSVR, you would actually not be sitting here now, I don't think, thinking we've missed out. Tell me, pumpkins.
I think I agree with that big time. Like Saints and Sinners, definitely contender for Game of the Year. And I know it released on the PC platforms or the PC VR platforms sooner, but I never really felt like that was a problem. Like it's kind of like an expected thing now that these games kind of gain a bit of steam on Steam or wherever it is they are, and then they move over to PSVR and then they can be a success there, and I'm fine with that. Like, for example, I see Phasmophobia doing very well on these other headsets. Fingers are crossed that it's coming to PSVR. There's definitely hope for us, and I think there definitely is like a market there, a considerable market for these devs to say, okay, even if it is just 5 million and it hasn't grown since then, I think there's a lot of dedicated PSVR people out there, and that's like a lot of money to leave on the table if you're leaving that out. So I think devs are definitely, I know it's not easy for them to make because they have to take the the PS4 from 2013, that technology, they have to take that into account, trying to make their games run on it. Like, it's not easy. It's going to be harder and harder as the years go on, which is why I think maybe the next 2 years might be particularly painful until we get that new headset. But yeah, I've rambled and I've forgotten what I was going to say.
No, I think if I was a PSVR channel, I would be worried because I'd be thinking, what can I cover? But then at the same time, going back to what I just said a minute ago about that hardcore audience, if you've got a hardcore PSVR audience and they don't want to go anywhere, then they will still be with you anyway, I think. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. You know, because there's how many games are on PSVR? There must be well over 400. I don't know, but there's a lot of games, and there's a lot of good games. You know, so if I was purely PSVR, there'd be plenty to replay. There's plenty of multiplayer games to keep you going. And you still got some coming out. You still got some.
Exactly. I was just going to say that too, because just because the PS5 isn't supporting them natively doesn't mean those PS4 games that are still scheduled to come out won't work on the PS5 too. Games like Wraith, the Oblivion, stuff like that. Those are still games I'm looking forward to, and they're probably going to be 2021 games, maybe something like that. So that should help ease the weight a little bit for the new headset.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely still stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, so what games are there to look forward to? So you got obviously Sniper Elite. That's Solaris, Hitman 3, Ven VR, After the Fall. I've not heard anything about After the Fall on any format at the moment.
It's been a while.
Because I was mentioning it to someone. They said, yeah, it's been really quiet on PSVR. And I went, no, it's really been quiet everywhere, in my mind. Apparently Blair Witch is coming to PSVR. Didn't know that. Humanity, that is the one by the Tetris guys, isn't it? Enhanced. Do you remember that one? It was like one of their PS4 showcase ones, and all the people were running into it. It's going to be like a puzzly game.
I've forgotten all about that one.
Yeah, Humanity, as you said, Afterlife, Mask Maker. I don't know anything about that, but the other one is Population 1. They have said, Big Box have said that is coming. So that's huge. That's huge. You know, that is like massive.
I'd be a bit worried that, let's say, what's the player count that you have on Oculus and PC VR for population was like 18 or 24 or something?
I think it's 24. I think.
I'd be a little bit worried that might go down in the translation to PSVR, but still, regardless. Like even like let's say for the example, the closest thing we have to that now in PSVR is like Rec Royale, if you could consider that like a something in the same field. But that was like really something when it came out first. Like a lot of people were really excited about that, like the novelty of a battle royale on PSVR. So I definitely can see Population 1 kicking up a bit of interest.
It would definitely kick up interest. I actually think it will translate very well to PlayStation because they got it on the original Quest working.
Oh, there you go.
You know, I played the beta. I played the beta on the original Quest, and then I played the like the recent version, obviously, on the Quest 2, and it is identical to PC. So there's another argument. Just I'm not going to go into it or a debate. Is Quest is killing PCVR games? Some people say that because they are developing for the Quest because that's where the money is, and then they enhance it almost for PC instead of, do you know what I mean, making a PCVR game and then you're getting the like for me, Phantom Covert Ops. It's a fantastic mobile version. Don't get me wrong, but it's night and day between the PCVR and the Quest. As with Population 1, I had to check I wasn't using Link.
Yeah,
it was identical for me. Okay. It was identical, you know.
I think we're going to see that a lot more too. Not to keep going on that, but as people start developing games, we'll see probably a lot more like that with Population 1, where that was kind of really done with the Quest in mind. I don't know about from the beginning because it's been several years that it's been done, but it's been heavily pushed towards Quest's platform. So they optimized it for PCVR, but not as much as some other games. Whereas like Phantom Covert Ops really spent time to put a lot of effort into their PCVR port and make it look really, really good in comparison. But I think at least talking to some developers, a lot of developers are coming at it from the way you're talking about it, where they make it for Quest platform the best that it can be, and then upscale it to PCVR.
Is that kind of a bad thing in some ways, do you think?
I don't. Some people would say that it's a bad thing. I don't think that it is a bad thing in a lot of instances. It depends on the game. Depends
on the developers as well, how much money they've got.
That's true. Yeah, it depends on what they're able to do with it. Like in the right hands, I don't think it's a big deal. But depending on the developer, it can cause hiccups and make it so that the PC version might not be the best that it could be in comparison because they spent so much time on the Quest version. That's one thing I don't want to see happen, is because I think PCVR is still huge, and I think that the quality of PCVR is always going to be there, better than Quest, right? Obviously, because of the abilities of it. And I don't want to see people spending more time creating content for Quest and not making sure to optimize it for PC and then letting that go, because then you've got an entire audience that just gets thrown to the side.
Yeah. I mean, there's no. What is the number of Quest sold? Do we know that yet? Like
they've never really released the numbers.
No, but I'll quickly jump into this bit of news that we was going to put on later on. I'll just skip the. Let me just play the quick news segment because I know people like it. Hold on 1 second. And we're back in the studio. So. Mark Zuckerberg revealed pre-orders of the Oculus Quest 2 were more than 5 times bigger than those of the original Quest, which is crazy because I kind of remember when the Quest launched, it was like Quest everywhere.
Yes.
You know, so he's put this quarter, we also took major steps forward in building the next computing platform. We launched Quest 2, our most advanced virtual reality headset, right in time for the holidays. It delivers a real sense of presence, like you're right there, blah, 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 lighter, faster, sharp screen, $300. Now, Pumpkin.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Pumpkin!
Try and sell it to me.
Pumpkin! You are PSVR.
I am.
If I cut you in the middle, I think I'd see the blue light.
Mark Cerny's inside here.
Well, he could be if you want.
I'm just wearing a skin suit. It's Mark Cerny the whole
He's
time.
a shell of a man. Talk to me. Why would you? Because I've seen your sidekick Decepticon saying he's thinking about picking a Quest up. What's going on?
What? Are you asking me why I don't have one? Why I don't want one?
I might be.
Okay. Well, it's not that I don't want one. All right. As you said yourself, I cover PSVR on my channel, and just as it is now with my time, I feel like I'm struggling to get as much covered as I would like to. So adding another headset into the mix there, that's like just half in my time again, if you know what I mean. Now, I think the Quest is very impressive piece of kit. I think it's amazing that it's fully wireless, and I think it's probably going to lead the industry forward now for the next year or so, or however long it's going to be, just because it's got that mainstream appeal compared to pretty much every other headset. Even PSVR now, it's probably like PSVR used to be that kind of leader.
Yeah.
I think Quest has probably taken over that position right now, especially with Sony's kind of recent comments and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't like us or that I don't want us. Although the one thing I will say, and I've been seeing this, maybe it's just this one specific game in depth. I've been seeing a lot of comparisons between Quest 1 version and Quest 2 version side by side. And I'm like, I mean, it's a nice little upgrade, but it's not enough for me to go like, oh, wow, this is like way, way better than Quest 1. Whereas I feel like when PSVR 2 eventually pops out with new controllers, way better visuals, all that kind of stuff with the horsepower, I think that's going to maybe drop my jaw to the floor and get me a little bit more excited. Maybe I should be saving my money for that instead. And that's my opinion on that.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, feel free to try and talk me into it. Maybe I'm an idiot for not.
No, I don't. Dude, at the end of the day, in my mind, if my dad really got the hump with me. On my birthday, he bought me a brand new PlayStation, and it was late. I don't know the release dates between the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. Now, bearing that in mind, he bought me a brand new PlayStation, and I was like, hold on, what the hell? Yeah, I was like, dude, thank you ever so much. And then while walking to college, I saw Mario 64, and I was like, wow, like that is next level amazing. And then, I sold the PlayStation and lost a lot of money to get the N64. And because I'm like that, I will see a new game and be like, I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I have to get it. And that's exactly what happened to me in VR in general. Like, I'm not really a format person, I'm not really that guy. PSVR, obviously this channel started as PSVR, and the reason is because I already had a PS4, and that was the biggest selling point about it. It was £400 to get into VR. I'd already tried it, I'd already experienced it, and I was like, this is the next level. This is the evolution of gaming I've been waiting for years. Same thing. I was on PlayStation, then I saw Mario 64. To see that free roaming 3D... I know there's 3D graphics on because you had Croc or something. I remember that. But, like, to see Mario 64 that way, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
We have 2 super chats, or not super chats, stickers, just if you want to call those out. Scottish Gamer VR did both super chats or stickers.
Oh no, you're joking, did he? Thank you ever so much, Scottish. Why am I not seeing? Oh, okay, he's on the left here. Sorry, dude. Scottish Gamer, thank you ever so much, man. Thank you very much. He's just got an Oculus Quest 2 recently. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like, I think to myself, if there's a really good game, like is there no game on the Quest you've seen that you thought?
Oh, it's definitely games like on all the other headsets. Well, I say PC VR headsets. I kind of just bundle them all together. Well, I should say as well, I've never properly gotten into PC gaming as well. So that feels like a hurdle on top of needing, so when the PSVR came out, and like you said, it's only $400 or euro, whatever, to get into VR. Whereas at the time, to get into it on PC was not just the headset. You had to have the proper PC to run it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Quest, I know, is different. It's standalone. But at the same time, it just doesn't like you. I know you can run Phasmophobia on Quest, and right now that would be my biggest kind of bait, to kind of lure me over to the dark side of the Quest. But I don't know if that's enough.
I think you're more likely to get a native version of Phasmophobia on Quest before PSVR, because once again, of money and user base at the moment, I guess, or even. It's just headlines. It's just what's clicking. What gets clicks and videos and newsreels and at the moment it's very much Quest. And then suddenly PSVR got thrust in my face again because of Jim Ryan, and I was just like, what the hell is going on?
The reason because I had PSVR before Quest 2, and I dabbled in some PCVR stuff, but I never owned a PCVR. I mean, I had a few after the fact. I've tried several, but I never jumped into the PCVR world either. I jumped headlong into PSVR, and that was my first real big VR purchase because I had a PS4. I was like, heck yes, I'm buying this thing because it's only $400 and I already have the system for it. And I just need to grab this and I can jump into virtual reality. And being a lover of that kind of thing, I was excited to be able to do that. And it blew my mind. And I jumped into PlayStation Worlds for the first time when I got that bundle in, and it was a game changer.
Just that main menu.
Oh, I know. Like sticking your head inside that water ball. I mean, silly things like that. And it was unbelievable. And from that point on, I knew I needed to see more and more and more. And I dabbled here and there with some PC stuff. I had a gaming PC, so I had some stuff here and there, and then I would sell it because it just wasn't what I wanted it to be, or I needed the money. I had PlayStation VR at one point in time, and then I had to sell it, and then I had to wait and get another one later on because it was one of those life things. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I got the PlayStation VR again in it would have been like the summer of 2017. I get it again, and then fast forward a year later in 2018, and I'm seeing the announcement for the Quest, and I'm like, well, this thing is wireless. And that was my biggest gripe, and the reason I didn't play PlayStation VR as much, because I live in a small space and it is a pain for me to be able to play PlayStation VR, and that was the biggest limiting factor. I love playing it, but having to run the cable, and people would fall over, trip over it because it's such a small space. You got to walk through the living room to get somewhere where I'd play. And it just really held things back. And so I saw the Quest and I was like, well, you know what? I've got a space I can play that down in my basement.
Yeah.
I don't have to have my PlayStation down there because my son likes the PlayStation. So I couldn't bring the PlayStation down there. I didn't want to buy another PlayStation just to play VR. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to buy this standalone thing. And if it's as good as they say that it is, then I'm excited to move on just because of that one limiting factor. And that was the real reason I looked into Quest, and not in the revolutionary idea of not having that cable and being able to play it where I needed to play it and not play it where I had to play it.
It felt like magic. Honestly,
yes,
the Quest felt
right.
like magic. I was like, I remember the first time I saw Pass Through, thanks to CoatSync, I was like, what the hell? I can see I've got a headset on, but I can see the world.
Yeah, right.
Even that is just strange.
Yep.
Like, to go from
Even
PSVR
now,
is like, from that, it was like weird.
Well, even now, I'll have my Quest 2 on and I'll double tap the side of it and I'll be able to grab my controllers, adjust things and then double tap it again, and then it'll go back into the game. And that to me is even revolutionary. But the reason I jumped into doing Quest and doing VR content and I didn't start back with PlayStation VR is because it felt, the closer I got to the launch, I kept seeing more and more excitement. And people were like, this is going to be revolutionary. And the more I read about it, the more excited I got. I watched videos by people like you, GT, going to CoatSync. It got me really excited for it. And I was like, I'm going, this is going to be something that needs to be covered by someone. There's obviously other people covering it, but I want to be one of those people. I want to be able to tell people about this.
Yeah.
And that's what got me on this. And that was the real reason I got into doing that, because like I said, it was the accessibility of it, which I think is why so many people are moving to Quest or jumping into VR for the first time, because space can be an issue. And that to me was really the deciding factor to me jumping into it.
I was just going to say, one of the things, I think it was 2 or 3 people's houses I went round to help them with PSVR, because one of them said they just didn't have any room. Now, I don't know, I can't remember, but I think on the demo disc of PSVR, it shows you that you need to put, or the camera is shown on top of the TV or under the TV. Now, their TV was like a foot away from their couch, and they were like, we haven't got any room. And I was like, well, technically, the camera doesn't have to be. Their room, for example, was 8 foot long, yeah, but like 4 foot wide or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or no, probably, no, that's well off.
Shoebox.
It's probably, it's a shoebox size, whatever it is. It's like, I don't know, 3 meters across, 3 meters across, 9 meters long, whatever. But at the end of the day, the way their front room was set up, if they had the camera on the TV, there was no way to play it. So it's like, we'll just move the camera here.
Yep.
And you got this room. And they were like, oh, we didn't know it worked like that. It was, and there was a couple of people that I think thought the camera had to be around the TV for some reason. I don't know what that is. And to go on to another thing, and this is one I read it all the time. Even in the chat, you guys in the chat, I see the comments of someone will go, PSVR tracking's trash. And then someone will go, dude, blah, 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 blah. But the tracking is now, I would say, the most inferior tracking now. And you can't get away from that. Yeah, you can't get away from that.
Time.
But why? But what's... There's nothing wrong with that. It was like it done a bloody good job, and it still does if you get it right. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it launched in 2016. We're talking over 4 years now.
It's crazy.
And that's a long time for technology, and it still works well for what it is.
Yeah.
And those Move controllers, they're from 2010.
Oh yes, that too, right? Yeah.
I know. Oh,
so
man.
we've got 10-year-old technology that we're dealing with, and it still works. And considering that it works well, the biggest thing I think that most people complain about now with the Quest, though, is the 180 degrees of tracking for PSVR. To me, that's a bigger deal.
Yeah, it is.
Than the actual tracking is not being able to 360-degree tracking.
Yeah.
Unless you like do what Iron Man developers Camouflage did and like make some magical algorithm that can estimate where you are, kind of.
I don't know how they did that. That was amazing. That was so
That's
weird.
pretty exclusive to that game, though. From what I've heard.
Yeah. I think when he done a live demonstration, he done it. That was when people first picked it up. I think the guy who was demonstrating the game on a stage faced away from the camera, and he was carrying on, and people were like, "Hold on a minute." People in the know, anyway, were like, "Hold on a minute." That
this guy's faking us.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing has always been to me new controllers. Tracking, yeah, I can get around it though, and I've got around it, and I've worked with it for a very long time. And yeah, like another game on the list, Alvo. He's in the chat now. The guy, that's a new PSVR game coming out that people who like PSVR are going to be covering. And what is it? A 5v5 military shooter?
5v5. Exactly, but it's kind of, like, let's say Firewall was more your Rainbow Six Siege type, whereas Alvo seems to be more like your fast-paced Call of Duty, respawning, bullets everywhere, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's developers out there still going for it. I believe Alvo's going on PC as well. I believe that's.
I think so. I think PSVR first and PC later.
Yeah, so how rare?
Which is unusual. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I still can't believe Resident Evil 7 never come to PC VR.
What is that? What's the story with that? Because they only bought it for like a year, and then they just didn't bother to do it.
Yeah, it was a timed exclusive, and then they just never bothered. I think
that's crazy.
It's unreal. I think it would sell so much, especially now because I think Quest, as much as Quest is selling, I think Quest also brings more people, and I've said it before, into PC VR because they then, like you just said, Pump. You might be thinking, I want to play Phasmophobia. How do I play that? And I'll go, yeah, you need a PC. Now, when you've already got something, you've already bought the Quest, that expense is done. It's done. You kind of forget about it, and you think, what do I need next? It's one of them, Like, I telling people about PlayStation VR was £450. You forgot to add the fact that the PS Pro is $350. You know what I mean? You're just like, it's £400, Midlife, thank you ever so much. Because Alvo couldn't. What?
Alvo was trying to super chat. I was watching the chat, and they weren't able to do it.
Oh, I don't know what's going on.
I thought it was a joke, some kind of a pun. I was like, what?
Yeah, so no. So what?
One thing that a couple people have mentioned that PSVR still has, in my opinion, over PCVR and Quest is the aim controller.
I was going to say,
because they've never come out with a fully integrated accessory for any VR device aside from PSVR that does like what the aim controller does.
And let me tell you, I'm excited for Solaris to come out when that has aim support. From what I understand, like as you play it now on Quest, it's like it kind of feels like it's designed to have the aim in mind with the left hand or something. Doesn't move as much.
Yep. Yes.
Something along those lines. But yeah, just the aim makes everything better. Like I'm fingers crossed as well. I know it might be difficult because of the type of game it is, but Population 1, I know parkour is a big thing in that, but I'd like if they could try and figure out a way to make aim controller work in that game too. That would be fantastic.
I can't
be
see
great as an option.
Yeah, I can't see it happening though. I think it'd be exclusively moves. Personally, I do. I think
primarily because of the gliding, probably.
Yeah, the gliding. I mean, I rarely see the building mechanics used. They are used, but I don't see it very often. So I think actually running around an FPS will work pretty well. But Yeah, I mean, so where are we now with PlayStation? I mean, I think a lot of people are upset. I think a lot of people feel a bit let down. But I don't know, man. I mean, I see a lot of people as well saying I'm going to get a Quest now, and I'm like, I don't think it's a bad thing either. I don't, because to me, I think we sort of touched on it earlier. There's going to be like it's like a hilly bits. You know what I mean? You're going to get a rise, and then you're going to get this lull of like, oh, there's nothing really going on. But I do believe when PlayStation comes back, that will be that'll be huge. I think that is the sleeping giant of VR because they're going to have real AAA games again.
Yeah,
and
That's my thought too.
Yeah, that's exactly why I think that they will wait some time and let the other people do the hard work. They let the Quest essentially do the hard work of bringing the mass people into VR. See, a lot of people are going to buy PS5. People that are able to, they're going to buy a PS5 for gaming on PS5, and they could potentially buy, if they want VR, buy a Quest. Because I bought a PS5 because I love flat games, and I'm a Sony fanboy, and I have been for a long time, and I want the newest console. You're going to have a lot of people do that, and over the next 3 years, as Quest gains popularity, as other platforms gain popularity, Sony will be able to gauge whether it's going to hit that mainstream marker. And then instead of selling 5 million PSVR 2s, maybe they'll sell 20 or 30 million, because by the time they release it, it'll be already, the market will be tender and ready for a really high quality VR system that plays well with the PSVR's ability, or PS5's ability rather.
I think one thing, sorry, Pump.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you a question because you brought it up there. I've been getting those comments as well about people being disappointed with like Jim Ryan's comments and saying we're going to get a Quest 2 now instead. But I'm just thinking, do you think that if you were excited for maybe a PSVR 2, maybe you had it in your head that one was coming out close to launch PS5, do you think you getting the do you think if you got the Quest 2, is that going to scratch the itch? Like, is that going to make up for the lack of a PSVR 2? Or is that going to disappoint you?
Alvo, thank you ever so much for the donation. And I do love hot dogs. And honestly, I do think it would scratch the itch well and truly for a while.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think with PSVR 2, if it comes out, with the ability, with the system of the PS5, it would blow the Quest out of the water from an ability standpoint. Visually, the SSD speeds are insane. I mean, it's going to destroy standalone platforms from that perspective. But right now, without having that option, I think the Quest 2 can scratch a very niche itch that people are going to have that don't have that PC.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I do, man. I seriously think that at the moment the Quest is a very good. I know if you're not offended or bothered by the Facebook thing, then the Quest is a good place to be, without a doubt. It's an excellent headset. I think once you try one, you would be like, this is incredible. Hand tracking, dude, I cannot explain.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Honestly, man, like I've had butterflies on my fingers and I can feel them. No shit. I can feel them. I'm like, and I know they're not there. I'm like, my past is a bit weird, but my brain might be damaged. But I am like, I know they're not there, but I can feel like a tickling or it. Oh.
I love shooting the electricity from your fingertips in that too, like your Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Have you tried Immersive with the physical keyboard? Have you tried doing that?
No. What's that like?
So that's really cool. It actually works really well. I'm working on trying to put a video together because I want to try to edit an entire video in VR with a physical keyboard. Because what essentially it does is you put the headset on, connect it to the app on your PC, and it allows you up to, I think it's up to 3 for the free version or up to 5 screens if you get the premium version. Wow. And it only requires 1 screen. So it's digitally recreating your desktop into 5 different screens.
Yeah. So a multi-monitor setup for free almost.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so it also uses hand tracking and gives you the ability to use a keyboard. So you can use your physical mouse, which isn't hard, not being able to see it because you're so used to using a mouse. And the keyboard tracks where your hands are. You press certain keys on your keyboard so it maps out the layout, and you can actually see your hands in VR with your keyboard in VR and type just like you were actually seeing it in real life.
So even without games. the Quest is something that like was super
yeah.
tempting to get. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Without
Has these cool
games, dude.
features.
Without games, right? And UK Rifter done a video, and he hasn't done a VR video for a long time. He's recently discovered SideQuest.
Mm.
Now, if I was full time, I would do more SideQuest videos. I would, but I just haven't got time. But that, I think, I can't remember how he put it, but it is like wild ground. You go on there, you don't know what you're going to play. You don't know what's there. You're testing out stuff. You know, it's a bit raw, some of it, but some of it you come along and you're like, this is a quality game. This is amazing. And it's free, or you can donate to it. And I think being part of that's really cool. You know, that's really good. Hello, Reese. Thank you ever so much, dude. Cheers. Thank you, man. Thank you. Just keep up the good work, guys.
Well, it's like,
Thank you.
what's the PSVR game that's on SideQuest for free?
Oh, I don't know.
That reminds me of Time Crisis.
Oh,
can't think of the
Crisis
name
V
right now.
Brigade, or
Crisis
VR
VR.
Brigade, yeah.
Yeah. So that game, I played it on PSVR and loved it. Then got the Quest and played it, and it's revolutionary, the difference that you can have if you have a big room to play it on that, and it's on SideQuest. So SideQuest is an amazing platform to explore stuff, but it's not just games. They've got tons of stuff on there. They've got utilities on there you can do things with. They've got, like, GT, you've tried the hand tracking stuff on there. Have you done the hand tracking lab on there?
I've done hand tracking lab, Microsoft Surfaces. Yeah, amazing.
So I mean, it's just, there's so much stuff that's free.
Are we
You
selling
can
this? Pump?
sideload. It's insane. What?
Oh, I wonder if we're selling it to Pump still. I don't know what our agenda is. What is our agenda now? I'm sitting. I'm like,
Are we still talking about Quest?
Are we still talking about Quest? Yeah. Yeah. Let's go over to some comments now, because obviously this show is about people watching as well. What are their comments? Brick 1R says Xbox VR. Midlife says, I think Sony might be worried that they will come out and be caught between Quest 2 and 3 and already be out of date. I don't agree with that person. Oh, do you mean he means now? He means now.
When do you see a Quest 3 happening realistically?
It's possibly a
At
year
this
away.
point,
now.
hopefully not for a couple of years, because I don't think people would be very happy if we got a third one next year.
Yeah.
Maybe a pro version or something, but if they do this every year, it's gonna get kind of old.
Yeah. Do you know, Rec Room was the place where it had a lot of young people in it. I'm just reading VR Demon's comment. He's put my son as a Quest 2, and he's been having a blast with Phasmophobia. I think, like, another thing Quest 2 has done is brought the next generation in more so as well, because it's affordable. You can play it anywhere. Like your parent, they don't need to be in the front room. They can just go and play it under the stairs. It doesn't matter, get out of my way, go and play the Quest anywhere. It's just awesome. It's so cool. Let's have a look. Bye-bye. Oh, Alvo, thank you for the banana. Lord Necton, Sony will need to do wireless, I think, if they bring out another headset with a wired option.
Well, the PS5 does have that Wi-Fi 6, which a lot of people are kind of thinking that might be enough to support, like the kind of bandwidth you need.
Yeah, GT can attest to the fact that Wi-Fi 5, because you have 5G, right, GT?
Yes.
Yeah, and virtual desktop screams on 5G, and it's even better on Wi-Fi 6. So that just is a testament to the fact that PlayStation could easily, given enough time, I think, come up with a wireless option using Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah, so
the PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, it's there's 30 milliseconds of lag in VR, and at the moment, virtual desktop, which is that's another thing, Pump. You can have a PC and play.
Mr. Jackpot's been trying to sell me on this virtual desktop thing.
Oh, it's amazing. That was another. That was a wow moment for me, honestly. And I to be fair, I don't have many wow moments, but that was like, oh my god, wirelessly. Look at this. I couldn't believe the clarity and the quality. You need to try one. I think I would love to see you try one, because I think I'd love to see how you react to the panel in it. The graphics.
Okay.
Screen door. If you have, you probably don't know. Do you know what screen door is?
I've heard that the PSVR has actually supposedly had the best of that, or the less screen door effect, I should say, back when it launched. Now I'm sure it's advanced since of the other headsets.
It probably has, yeah. I mean, the Quest 2 is the only one I can say that I haven't seen any screen door. My eyes don't see it, but yeah, when I went to the Rift S, I saw it. When I went to the Quest 1, I noticed it again. Same thing. If you you know what you know. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't know those things are better if you haven't got them.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But yeah.
Paradise Decay says he played Half-Life Alyx in his car on Quest 2 wireless. Crazy.
It is for his neighbours. They'll be thinking, what's he doing?
What's exactly?
Sitting in his car. Mike Murray says he's a new watcher. How you doing? Thank you for joining. He's put, hey lads, will PSVR get a graphics bump and better frame rates from PS5? Pump? What do you reckon?
I'm sorry, I was reading this comment here that was complimenting my accent, so I didn't hear a word you were saying. I'm sorry. Mysterion, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Mike Murray says, will PSVR get a graphics bump and better frame rates from PS5?
I wouldn't expect a graphics bump, but they have confirmed already that you can expect some titles, obviously they haven't given any list or anything like that, to maybe have better performance. So think of anything that might have had like dynamic resolution, that could be bumped up. Anything that was maybe the frames were dropping, going up and down, not locked. So anything uncapped in that kind of a way might go locked up to the highest it can be with the PS5. But don't go expecting, crazy updated 4K texture packs and all this kind of stuff like maybe some people were expecting.
Unfortunately, because it is running as a backwards compatible platform, it's essentially emulating PS4 on the PS5, right? So it's going to be running just as if a PS4 was running the same game, except for more power behind it. So you're going to get less frame drops and stuff.
You might expect better loading times as well with that SSD,
right? Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite I see it on Facebook groups. People say PSVR's blurry, and I've said it before. If you watch the show, if you go and play Windlands or pick it up, that is one of the only games, or one of the very, very few games that actually do a one-to-one performance on what PSVR can do. I think it's 120 hertz, whatever the refresh rate. Yeah, it's 120 hertz. Whatever the resolution is, it does it literally as it should be. And when you see that on PS4, that headset is really clear. It's really crystal clear, and 120 hertz is like going from 80 on the Rift S, 72 from the Quest. You go and see 120 hertz of PSVR, dude. Like, that's amazing, and people forget that. And as we said, how old is that headset? 2016.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. When PSVR 2 happens, if that was that far ahead, then
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like, isn't what's the standard? What's like the best out there right now for PCVR as far as refresh rate?
I think it's 140 hertz.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, it's index.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. So my guess would be PSVR 2 gets a similar refresh rate or something along those lines in the future. They're going to do what the best they can do. At the time when PlayStation VR came out, it was pretty revolutionary for what it was doing, really, because PCVR was still relatively young when PSVR came out. That's 4 years ago. So that was along the lines of what the CV1 was out then.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When I look back, I mean, I know you could. I think there was a certain stage where you had more AAA games on PSVR in my mind than you did on PCVR.
Yeah.
Like I know you had your Lone Echoes and a few other games that really stood out, but PSVR was getting. If something came out on PSVR, it was normally of high quality. Yeah, obviously there was some disasters. I've come across a few, but there's, like if you go on the Steam store or whatever Oculus store, there's a minefield of crap, really. Yeah. Unfortunately,
PlayStation is good at kind of doing what Oculus does with the Quest library.
Yeah, I kind of felt they was going that way.
Yeah, that's kind of what
curation type of a thing.
Yeah. The vast majority of what I've played on PSVR has been acceptable, just not necessarily what I haven't enjoyed some things. There's been some stuff that it wasn't necessarily something I liked, but I've never played a broken game like I have on Steam before.
Nor have you slid down an oily ramp to stare up some anime character's skirt on PSVR either. I don't know if that would get on the store.
Like, you just sold me on PC VR.
I couldn't believe that. I just got my PC and I was like, I'll have a look on Steam. And this game come up. It was like £2. And it had like an anime girl. And I thought, what's this? And dude, there's some wild stuff in VR. There, like Pirate Island. Look that one up or something. It's like, what the hell? Get to the Chopper says, Sony still has the library and IPs. I just think the PSVR 2 will not be as good as we expect. Sony will need to make it affordable, and that they won't take crazy losses on sale like Facebook. Hey, I actually disagree on that
Well,
one.
considering the price of the PS5, which I'm guessing is at a loss based on the price, because I expected it to be at least $150 to $200 more, or at least $100, $150 more. I think that they'll probably do the same thing. They took a loss on PSVR when they released it.
They take a risk every time they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's no one else doing that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
when he
Oculus
says-
is the only other one doing that.
When he says he doesn't think it's going to be as good as we think it will be, what do we think it will be? Because I'm not sure what I expect from PSVR 2.
It was a bit like what Matt
know?
said earlier. I'm expecting I mean, the field of view now is around 100. I'm expecting a field of view of like 120. I'm expecting the 120 refresh rate, like amazingly comfortable. I'm expecting like touch control. I'm expecting, and also looking from what was that pattern the other day? The images. You're looking at what looks like index style controllers almost.
Finger tracking, maybe stuff like that.
Yeah, finger tracking. Yeah,
All
I mean,
that haptic feedback.
yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Can
expecting
you imagine,
that.
though, if it had a trigger controller like the touch controller, but had the haptics built in like the PS5 controller? So you go to squeeze a trigger and you get the actual feeling of pulling a trigger. Touch controllers don't have that. So if they built that into the PSVR 2, that right there would almost sell me buying it immediately if it had haptics in the controllers like that.
How would you feel about them putting haptics in the actual headset itself? So you feel things on your head.
Haptics have that, don't they? They have a head pad.
Yeah, they
kind of
do.
thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's theirs is okay. It's not super comfortable. That's the biggest issue. It's kind of bulky when you put it on your face, and it's really just for your face.
Yeah.
And it's just okay. I mean, you can feel like a headshot and stuff like that. I think it would have to be done very tastefully if you're going to do it, and it almost feel gimmicky. It probably would drop. They drop support for it after a while, probably because it would take a very particular game to actually utilize that.
Yeah. See, for me,
It's a
like
weird head massage game.
yeah. So yeah, that would happen. For me, B haptics and stuff like that. That is the future. You know, they're trialing the future, and that's why normally it's quite expensive, because it is not something that anyone can just get straight away. And that's what, like, I did try the wrist. I think it was wrist ankle. All over body stuff, and it is really good. It is really good.
Oh, it's cool to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
PD just said, because you can't see his stuff still, right?
Unfortunately, he is still banned from my chat for being naughty.
He said he's hoping for PSVR 2 to be a hybrid standalone and connected device, which would be interesting. I can't picture Sony doing that though. Like, you know, making a version that plays standalone games like Quest 2 does and also connected to the device. I'm not sure I could picture Sony doing that.
That is something I'd like to, just like the Quest Link. I want that for the PSVR 2.
Yes, right.
Maybe not every game would support standalone.
Right. Yes,
and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I would, if they did that, it would blow my mind, and I would be very happy with that. That would be huge, because then you've got a company like Sony essentially jumping at least partially into a standalone headset. And if they did that, I think they would sell a ton of them.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when we talk about Risk as well, they've already got a fan base.
Right. Yeah.
Now they didn't have that before.
No. Yeah.
You know,
they've got IPs now too. You know.
Yeah.
Firewall,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
People know these.
Astrobot
to
2.
some degree. Yeah. Exactly.
Pump. How did you react at the PS5 one when they showed Astrobot? What did you?
I think, you know, I'm really excited for that. Just I love the fucking. Are you talking about the Astro Playroom?
Yeah, no. Do you remember when they showed Astrobot on PS5 at the the PlayStation
and we all
Direct?
assumed it was a VR game.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I missed completely.
I was devastated. I was devastated. I was like,
I mean, I suppose we probably should have seen it coming, because they use Astrobot to show off hardware. I mean, the first time we saw Astrobot was when he was showing off the camera at launch, like the Playroom game, and then he did it for VR, and now he's doing it for PS5, dual sense controller, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a kick to the you know what. You know.
yeah. Where are we going?
It's not like Sony hasn't experimented with standalone stuff before. You got the PSP and the Vita that were handheld standalone, so it's not outside the realm of possibility for them to look into doing something for VR in the same realm.
Dumb and Dumber, what do you guys think of the DecaGear? We did talk about it last week. I don't know whether the developers watched me talk about it last week because they were semi-interested about coming on the show for a chat, and now they've not responded to any of my thing. You know, I don't know. We don't do any BS on here, so I don't know whether they just thought, "No, we're not up for a live chat." Because in my mind, I think the headset will come out, and I think not many people will be able to get it. I think there's going to be a problem with pre-orders. I think there's going to be back orders. What about issues? I think there's going to be an issue with support, technical support, you know, faulty hardware, all those things that every company has, but they're not a company, you know. And someone, I think it was E- in one of our chats, he was like, look at Pimax. Look at the issues they've had. Like, people pre-order one and wait a year or something, and then they don't get the headset they wanted. They end up getting like a newer one, which is cool, but then I think someone said they're not going to get that one, they're getting a new one, and they were like then waiting again. So that to me is like, I don't know. And that's why I think when I spoke to Wes and Roots last week from Virtual Strangers, he's not going to not get his HP reverb because of that. He's like, no, because it's HP. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive company. That's the problem.
I think that I have mixed emotions on it because I want it to be cool.
Yeah.
And I want it to work well.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it is from a company that isn't one of the big ones, and it's not going to have an ecosystem that's, you know, a walled garden ecosystem. It's not going to be built for a specific platform. It's going to be an open platform Steam VR headset, which is cool. The thing that worries me the most is it is a newer group of people making it. It was essentially made on a whim, from what I can tell, by a few people that wanted to design a headset that can do a whole bunch of stuff for less money, which is great when you have a lot of money backing it and you have a big company that can take the risk to do that. But I feel like for a company to create a headset that continues to be supported for any length of time, you need to have something that is actually generating revenue. And I'm not sure how they're going to generate enough revenue to have continued support and continued just overall, you know, continuing along with what they're doing. There's red flags everywhere for me.
It's the price as well, $450 for this.
Yes, that's the problem
for this headset, and it's got like internal face cameras and hip tracking and all these things, and I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Think of the perverted games you're going to find on Steam with that thing.
You can think of that. I'm not like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. End of the day, what I'm more worried about is what I've seen a couple of times when you see a lot of content creators and YouTubers get these headsets, and the people who actually did pre-order them don't get them.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about is I've seen some people say they're getting, like, content creators are excited for it because they get to have their hands on a prototype. The problem is that prototype is not final release version. So you're going to get several creators that have a prototype version that they could run into issues, and it could be really bad for the company if they're sending prototypes out for people to test out, number one, and it just isn't working the way it should.
Yeah.
And the other thing that bothers me about it is that they've got they're promising the moon, essentially. You know, I mean, this is like this headset, if you looked at the specifications and it was coming from somebody like Valve or HP,
people do,
you would be like, they'd be like, oh my word, I have to have this. And they would be pre-ordering it in a moment. But because it's promising so much
for so little in a way for the price.
Exactly.
$10 pre-order.
Oh, I know.
When I saw that, I was like, $10? You see, that's another thing.
Guess it's going to Kickstarter too. They're going to run a Kickstarter campaign. The $10 is essentially funding their research and development. All of those are supposed to fund their research and development to finish it. I mean, there's just a lot of things that seem very backwards to me for the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, and we all know that Kickstarters do lead to scams, or they don't lead to just scams. They lead to just products just not happening because
they just fail.
Fail. Yeah, I mean, end of the day, they could make one really good headset, show loads of videos of it, and go, everyone do this. We're going to do that, and maybe it never goes to the light. No one ever sees it. Maybe a few people see it.
Then you got companies like Oculus that run a Kickstarter to start the company, essentially. Back then they ran their crowdfunding for their original Oculus, and then it's become what it is. So I guess it does have to start somewhere. But whether that's this, I don't know.
Yeah, and if he would have come on the show, I would have gone down that road of like tell people or tell us why we should invest. You know,
we need a roadmap too.
Yeah, it's nice to say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and it can do this, it can do that, and be like, yeah, but where's some assurances? You know, where do we go for? And I know that is the idea of a Kickstarter, but yeah, like Matt said, there is quite a few red flags. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not, to be honest. Would I pre-order it for $10? Yeah, I would pre-order it for $10. But if I was a gambling person, and I was going to go with the odds, I would stick with the HP Rebirth if I wanted something new, or the Valve Index.
It's like PD just said, the final DecaGear will not see the light of day for another 2 years. I don't know if that's officially what they've said or not. And if that's the case, then there's not really much to worry about right now anyways.
No, yeah, I think people get whipped up in the hype and the news, and they're like, oh, and as you said, if it had another name attached to it, it'd have been amazing.
Oh yeah.
You said it's 2 years away? Maybe Jem Ryan's behind that. You know? Is that what he's doing?
Maybe. Alvo, thank you very much for the dumbbell. There's something I'm not going to see for a while. Today was the last day the gym was open.
Maybe they're saying something about the show. They're calling one of us a dumbbell.
Oh, right. Yeah, nice.
They're saying to get jacked up. Oh, yeah, you need to get into some sort of workout in your you got your green screen back there. You're going to have to start storing some weights in there and throwing those around in your
There is a VR game where you used to get buff on the beach or some stuff. I can't remember.
Yes, I played that. That was
it's like a 10-minute experience.
Bros, I think.
Thing. Yeah, the Beach Bros. Yeah, Mike sent it to me or suggested it to me, and I played it, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Sounds erotic.
It's absolutely. It's insane.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever played.
It is really weird. So yeah, going right back to your original question, Pump. If you are waiting for PlayStation VR 2, will Quest fill that void? I do believe it would.
Okay.
Very much.
That was a long roundabout to that answer.
Can I just look at a question here from Boy Brown?
Yeah.
He says, I want to see what you guys think as well. He says, I think 5 million PSVR headsets is poor compared to 110 million PS4s out there. It's a poor attach rate, and I feel Sony wanted way more than 5%. My thinking of that would be, that's one way to look at us if you see PSVR as a peripheral. Well, I see PSVR as a platform, like generation 1 of the platform. So I think, I'm not sure if it's fair to compare to the total PS4 sales, but I don't know. What do you think of that?
I actually do see it a bit like you, Pump. I think I did when I was in there. When I was all about PSVR, it used to really frustrate me that sometimes I'd get an email from a developer and he would say, "Oh yeah, we're bringing it out on this date," and I'm like, I'm like, okay, why aren't you bringing it out now? And he went, "Oh, because that'll clash with GTA or something." And I'm like, yeah, but that's not a VR game.
Yeah.
Why does that really matter? Because I know, like for me personally, any game in VR, I would. Well, I remember getting some crap. Oh, yeah, he wants to do YouTube to get free games. That's not the case at all. I bought like 78 PSVR games before I even started doing this. Like every bloody game, I bought every time. Because I think when you love virtuality, it is like that. And I think I know what Boy Brown's saying. I get that. I do definitely get that. But I think the problem with VR is you have to get in there to experience it. You can't show it on a. You can show it. You can maybe entice people to think about it. As I said, I met someone last night. He basically said he bought a Quest 2 because of watching me, and it's like, so obviously that means it does work. But you've got to have that little bit of imagination, to see what my actions are doing to that game. To go, what must that look like in that headset?
Yeah, it's very hard to sell VR without physically showing somebody what it's like to be in VR.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah, I remember like PSVR streaming was just what you saw, so it was more about what you had to make sure you showed was your interactions with it. Playing a DualShock game doesn't really sell it, but if you moving your hands around in the game freely, or like the aim controller, Like Firewall, I thought Firewall was brilliant to watch, and it's still a good game to watch. People play when the lobbies are working and stuff. That was one of my main gripes of streaming that game. That's why playing it private is the best. Do you go open lobbies now, Pump, or do you go private all the time?
Mostly public.
Oh,
like, I get my squad. Like the first three in the chat to join is usually the same three guys. But yeah, and then we go public against whoever.
Nice.
And we do a private. Like if there's a lot of people in the chat saying I want to join, we say okay, we've enough for an 8-man, private lobby.
Yeah. And I bet it's still popular, isn't it? That must be the most popular online game on that platform.
It's definitely starting to feel like it's fading a little bit now.
Yeah.
But they just recently got Operation Cloud Strike, so the new season, I think season 6 now we're on. So like that's bringing back more people, still new maps, new contractors for free. So there is like I've never not found a game. Yeah. Except for the occasions when it was like just broken.
And do you know what? I think another thing with PlayStation 5, I was really hoping personally to have the opportunity, and I will stream it again, but I was really hoping to have the opportunity to do some comparison videos of like look at Farpoint, then look at Farpoint now, an excuse to show off some excellent VR games that probably people have never even heard of now, almost, because there's my channel's going to be a mixture. It's going to be a mixture of new people and older people, and I don't mean that in just of age and of joining the channel. So they might not have ever seen Rush of Blood, and I was really hoping to go like, yeah, Rush of Blood, here it is, and then I could say, yeah, and the improvement in clarity or resolution is this. And now I'm sort of thinking that maybe that's not going to happen so much. That's not going to be...
Maybe you can compare loading screen times now instead.
Yeah, you get some more of your life back before you play a game. Yeah, I was just... that's what I was really hoping for. But at least, I take it you've all ordered your adapters or whatever.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what happens and how it goes. Midlife says, PSVR is an absolute bugger to lug around for people to see and understand. What else have we got? I should say RE7 VR is a PS exclusive. Tom Gregory, how you doing?
I mean, Resident Evil 7 is still my favourite VR game.
Dude, Mighty Quinn says he's got 80 plus Quest games. Resident Evil 7, I think when we done our top 20 PSVR games on PSVR last year, Resident Evil 7 was number 1.
No surprise.
It's a fantastic game. It is a fantastic game. What's your favourite games? I know it's a hard question. I'm not going to ask what's your best game. But what's like, Pumpkins, if I said to you, right, okay, I've got someone and they're interested in PSVR, not interested in all the other crap, what games would you suggest they might pick up? Apart from Firewall Zero.
Well, Resident Evil 7 for single player.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Firewall anyway, even though you told me not to.
Good on you.
That's multiplayer. It's just
Good
the
on
best multiplayer you get, all right?
Yeah.
Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is definitely up there. Super Hoss is definitely up there.
Yes.
No Man's Sky has to be up there as well.
I need to do more.
Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim, it's still like just a big open world RPG. You can just sink so many hours into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many more do you want?
JD says no one can be told what the Matrix is. They have to see it for themselves. That is virtuality in a nutshell.
Take the red pill.
Yeah. Matt, what games did you get on PSVR back in when you played it? Do you remember what your favorite ones were?
Yeah, I loved, like PD just said, Astrobot. I love Astrobot. I think it's unique. It's one of my favorite platformers of all time. Amazing game. I didn't make it through Resident Evil 7, but I did play parts of it. GT knows I'm a wuss, so I didn't play it through the entire thing, but I've played parts of it. And I will say, enjoyed showing the Resident Evil 7 demo to anyone that I could to scare the crap out of them.
What was that called?
That was great.
What was that called?
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite things to show people when they came over to the house.
That was epic. I got Jane's sister. So Jane's younger sister loves horror films. And she was like, I nothing scares me kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, you got to try this, the kitchen. And it was stupid of me, really, when I think about it. But at the time, she was all like, yeah, I can take this. And I was like, cool, try it. And she had the controller. And obviously having your hands like that and feeling like they're bound adds extra immersion, and it freaked her out. Like she never be in VR since. So my job of selling VR that day failed. I actually put someone off it for life. You know what I mean? So there you go.
That reminds me of Static, the way they kind of forced your hand inside a box and it matched up with the way you're holding it in DualShock. That was good.
That game had like a Portal Valve Half-Life kind of feel to it for me. I loved it, and I, I think anyone who plays it can say it's one of their favorites.
One of my most memorable moments though on PSVR is when I got Arkham VR.
Oh, dude, yeah.
The first time I descended into the Batcave after putting on my helm. I mean, that was just the cowl you put it on.
Goosebumps.
That was yes, it was insane.
Yeah, another thing they done really well, Rocksteady, with that was the music. The music was unbelievable going into that Batcave. Like, I want to play that now. Like you talking about, I want to play it now. I want to play with Alfred's mustache. Like I remember going in there, I'm just like playing with his face. I'm like, "Eh." And it was the first days of it. I think Resident Evil was one of the first games. No, Batman was one of the first games I bought. It was Batman, Thumper, because I remember seeing Thumper in a magazine, and it only got like a 7 out of 10. And I remember IGN gave bloody Rush of Blood like a 7 out of 10, and I was like, I don't care. I'm still gonna buy this game, whatever it is, you know. And Batman, I took 3 days off work, and honestly, I felt like I was on a different planet after a while, because I was just in this headset for hours and hours on end. And then my family would come home in the evening, and I'm like, I need time out, because I'm plugged in. And you'd go in there, like, it would just be like, I don't know, it'd be light, and then you come out and it's dark. It's weird things like that. And Batman at the time, it just felt like VR felt like the most amazing thing in the world.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
I remember I had a place at dinner after I was playing Batman and just holding the fork and knife in my hand in real life. I feel real. Like I was like, what's going on here?
I love it. I love how it changes people, makes them just want to be like, I need to tell people about this. I think that's so cool.
Super Hot is one of the games that I still play and screws me up in real life every time I play it. Based on, like, I play it for an hour, Super Hot, and you move and time moves in there, and I come out of it and I'm like expecting things. I'm like moving, like the cup's about to fall. Yeah, right.
Why is that person not made of red crystal? Like that? I'd love that. I was going to say, to go back to the Quest as well, some games that I love on PSVR I've experienced on the Quest, and experiencing games like Super Hot wirelessly is another, like, oh wow, this feels how it should have felt in the first place, almost.
Well, I played through it entirely on Quest again when I first got the Quest, because it was a launch title for Quest. Yeah, and I was like, my mind was blown. That was one of the things that did it for me, because I loved it anyways on PSVR. And the other one that blew my mind was Space Pirate Trainer.
Yeah, someone just said that in the chat. Space Pirate Trainer.
Yeah, I don't have the chat up here at the moment, but what. They had that one just was incredible, being able to move around in that game. Those two games, when I first got the Quest, was probably two of the first games that I played when I got the Quest. And then I looked back at the PlayStation VR and I was like, I love this, but there's something magical about this because of the ability to move around.
Virtual Magic has done a great one. He's put VR equals you are in, flat equals you are out. It's quite
it's just hard to get that into people's heads, though.
Yes,
they just don't believe you. You just think it's a screen in front of your face, and that's all they can think of sometimes.
Yeah, they think it's like a 3D film. I remember when I first made content, a lot of people wondered whether it just looked like 3D. And how do you describe it other than it looks like now? I don't know. Like it looks like
literally
this
inside of it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. And, I think it was Mike Kelly said earlier. The one thing he wants done on headsets now is FOV, field of view.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I absolutely,
that's the next step.
That is the next step of a more immersive experience, because the more of your vision you can consume or take into VR, the more that's going to work.
As soon as we have a high refresh rate and wide field of view to the point where you can see, that was one big difference from PSVR even going to Quest, though, is the PSVR has a wider field of view, and that was noticeable going to Quest from PSVR. Because you have that peripheral you can still see some of when you're in PSVR. On Quest, you've kind of got the edges are clipped, because you've got, if you physically look to the left or right on Quest, especially Quest 2, depending on your IPD, you can see some of the black on the edges.
Right.
But PSVR wasn't as bad as that. And if we can get to that wide field of view where we're literally as wide as our peripheral vision is, and then that's gonna it's gonna start to be hard to distinguish when what we're doing.
Matrix
you know what I mean?
happens then.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next step towards that, because then we're so immersed, it's literally around us. Right now, it feels like we're in there, but we're almost looking through a peephole, looking at what's going on. And it's not that bad, you know what I mean? But it still feels like I'm looking through something into a world and interacting with it. If we can get wide field of view and I can see out of the corners of my eyes,
Matt,
it's going to change everything.
You just literally hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, you did. You feel like you're looking into a world instead of being inside it. Now, I kind of forget myself though a little bit, I think with VR cover that helped, because when the slim cover come out, I think PSVR because of the slider. Another thing that actually, again, the design of PSVR was well ahead of its time. Do you know what I mean?
Still one of the most comfortable.
It's only good as the hardware.
Yeah, they smashed it, like that slider in and out. Like they made it enough that actually you can peer underneath and look at your phone and do something else. The Rift S, you can't do that. It just doesn't slide the same, even though it's the patent of the Lenovo got that, and it's the same as the Sony one, or they paid for it. And I'm like, well, you bloody didn't put on the best feature, you donut. The best feature was the sliding. It moves, but nowhere near as much. Honestly, man, it's like double the amount of movement on it. And yeah, light leak. Like, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this thing, to be fair, you know, it's been set up here. It's probably a little bit dusty, but like the amount of movement in that.
Pumpkin's just looking at you with disgust.
But it's like
he's trying to wind me up over here.
These nose flaps for light leak. They thought of all that stuff. They thought about the immersion of the player.
Even the texture of.
Oh yeah, the soft.
Yeah. It was.
It's absolutely brilliant, actually. I love it.
Yeah.
I couldn't
and the Halo design instead of like the strap around the back of the head.
Yeah, they've done an amazing job with that headset, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Popping into Alvo later on today, hopefully. Hello, Vivian. How you doing? I can't see any of Paradise's bloody comments. So, even though I've been playing the Star Wars trailer, I'm going to show you something that Matt's going to talk about if he's up for it. We're going to talk about a bit of Star Wars, but we got a little bit of an animation coming up, so get ready. There it is. What did you think of that? I love it.
You can't go wrong with an explosion.
No, you need that, especially on this show.
I think I'm still waiting for it to show up on my end over. Oh, here it is. All right. Nice.
No worries.
Classy, you know.
So yeah, this is our upcoming new games segment, which unfortunately there's only one really at the moment that we're going to talk about that has a dedicated release date for this month. Maybe there's in the chat, let us know if there's something we're missing. I checked everywhere today. I have a list of upcoming games. I keep a running list anyways, because I want to know what's coming out for PlayStation VR, PC VR, all that kind of stuff, for Quest, specifically for Quest, but I keep an eye on everything. And this is the only game, Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, that has a solid release date for this month. The rest of it's all holiday or 2020. But I think there's a new video you're going to show, right, GT?
I'm showing it right now. It's already
you
on
are
now.
okay.
Yeah,
I see it right now.
Temple.
So yeah, what did they call this one again?
Temple something.
Yeah. Looks freaking creepy.
Temple of Darkness. Yeah. So
Temple of Darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. IMLX Lab revealed a new trailer for his Oculus Quest game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is like Vader Immortal on horror mode, it looks like to me when you're watching it. I don't know how much you've seen of the trailer. Did you watch it, GT?
I haven't. I'm watching it, but I haven't heard the sound from it yet.
So it looks really cool. Personally, I'm really looking forward to this because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It comes out on almost in October. We're in November now, November 19th, and it's exclusive to Quest initially, and then they haven't announced a Rift platform launch, but I assume that, and then probably eventually PSVR, since Vader did the same thing. But it's exclusive to Quest and Quest 2 to start with. And I don't know a lot about it. We still don't know a lot about the story and how much time it's going to be. Like Lord Necton just said, he's looking forward. He's just hoping it's more than 40 minutes long. It is in pieces. We don't know how many pieces yet. It sounds to me like 2. From what I've read, it sounds like instead of being a trilogy this time, it might be split into 2 parts. I'm hoping that those parts are at least like an hour and a half, 2 hours long each minimum. I'd like to see longer than that, or at least options to continue going like they did with Vader Immortal with the dojo.
Yeah.
My thinking with what I've heard from it might be that they've got a story mode, which includes this Jedi temple. And we get to meet Yoda, obviously voiced by Frank Oz, which is awesome. I cannot wait to get to see Yoda. And
Can't help it. Sorry. Sorry.
And then C3PO.
Matt, can you do like a Yoda impression?
I don't
Pumpkin,
think so.
come and do an Irish Yoda.
How's it going? There you go. That's how he'd sound. From here, right? That's how it-
Oh, hello. Top of the morning to you. Sorry. That was so shit. Someone's just asked, is there more than 2 VR? There's only 2 VR podcasts. There's actually like 8. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'll write them down for you if you want. There's quite a few. Sorry, Matt, carry on.
Oh, no, I was just talking about, obviously in this trailer, you can see we're back to using Force again. We've got lightsaber gameplay, and there's some weird, creepy Force stuff going on in this that looks like there's some sort of a, I don't know if it's like a mystery or what it is, but it definitely looks like it's got some elements to like a horror suspense mystery type thing, at least in this area of it.
Yeah.
So to me, it feels like there is a broader game here than Vader Immortal, just from what I've seen, because Vader Immortal was a short stories split into 3 pieces, or a short story split into 3 pieces. It was really cool, but just from the first trailer, it looked very linear. It looked very one direction. You could tell from the beginning with Vader Immortal.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how long it was going to be, but you could tell it was very particular. From what I've seen from this, from seeing the first trailer and then this one, they look like totally different experiences, and they're supposed to both be the same first part. So my assumption is that we're probably going to have an overall story, hopefully longer story, but then an area where we can actually explore, at least to some degree, and get side quests, if you will. They've already talked about in one of the trailers and some of the interviews going on missions essentially to find parts for, I can't remember if it's a droid builder or what it is, going on missions to hunt down people for bounty, I think, and then another one to find ingredients for the bar owner. So there's 3 types of side quests right there that could, if they had it randomized, potentially get you going out and doing more stuff, maybe earning more gear, earning more, different lightsabers, earning different blasters, and then you have the main story. So that's the direction I think it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that sounds absolutely epic. That was more than I could find about it. That was fantastic. That was that's going to be amazing. Pump, what did you obviously done Vader Immortal. Did you do a full playthrough in one hit, or did you do it in bits?
I didn't even do it. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. The only Star Wars game I've played is Squadrons. Now, I've enjoyed Squadrons, in fairness, and I have been tempted to get into Vader Immortal, but just the idea of it being kind of like it's kind of like a gallery shooter in like a Star Wars version of that, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
I think we're losing Pump. We're losing his connection now.
All right.
Oh no, he's not a Star Wars fan.
As a lifelong Star Wars fan, I loved it, but I have to say, I've heard from people that aren't even Star Wars fans that have played it and were in awe of the towering Vader looking down at them.
Okay.
And I mean, the story parts of it, I think you really have to try it to really understand, even if you're not really into Star Wars. If you're into any kind of sci-fi stuff at all, pushing that handle forward to jump into light speed in the first episode is just incredible. There's aspects to it that I think make it well worth at least checking the first one out.
I've seen, the thing is, I sort of should have known that Pump wouldn't have liked Star Wars, because I've seen some of the films he watches. They're not sci-fi. They're like
Where's the VR games of Fatal Deviation?
They're like Irish kung fu films.
There's the best.
That is.
But in all fairness, how is there like 4 or 5 Star Wars games in virtual reality and not one single Matrix game? That's kind of weird to me.
That would be trippy playing the Matrix in VR.
It would be, because I always remember that red pill, blue pill advertisement for virtuality. So yeah, I kind of see.
Man,
what
I'd
you're
play through that lobby scene 1,000 times if somebody
Oh,
could put
man.
that into virtual reality.
All the destruction pillars and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Oh,
going. Can we just have a moment for Vivian? I just want some sympathy for her. She says, "I'm not a big Star Wars fan either, but people keep gifting her Star Wars stuff and talking to her about it. It's
a
awful.
sign.
My heart goes out to you, Vivian.
How dare they? How dare they? That is terrible. You missed out. Warhammer Battle Sister. Apparently, it comes out on the 12th of November. I do not think that.
I hope to heck not, because from what I played, if that's coming out on the 12th, then we got problems.
Matt, did you make a video of that?
No,
No, nor would I.
Play through... I'll be
hell.
honest with you. I didn't make a video on it because I couldn't finish the demo.
Wow.
It was, and this is nothing against. It's an alpha.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's really early. This is nothing against what the game could be. It has potential, but the build that I played a couple of weeks ago, if they tried releasing something anywhere close to that, they would not sell anything and get tons of refunds. And this is nothing against what the game could be, just that it was not ready for prime time in the slightest bit.
No, not at all. I had a video and I edited the shit out of it. And I was just like, I can't put this out. I don't want to put this out because I feel I just damaged the game. Like it was.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you this. I played it for 5 minutes and I took the headset off and said, I'm not doing this because I'm going to either make this game look like trash and nobody will buy it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have to fake it that I'm enjoying it, because as of right now, I'm not having fun playing it.
The white noise. He just put that game looks absolutely awful. They should not have shown. What it was. Certain people who got the Quest 2 early got access to like demos, and that was one of them. And I don't think anyone was told what they can or can't make a video on. So I can definitely see the temptation because it is something that no one else has got. But I couldn't do it because it's not fair. Really, it's not fair. There's a reason alphas and betas are like under NDAs and hidden away because a lot of people aren't going to see that. They're just going to see the video and go, "This is terrible," and that's it.
Well, and to be fair, I think it's going to end up being something along the lines of what happened with The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners and The Walking Dead Onslaught. You've got a game coming out from that team doing Warhammer for Battle Sisters, and then you've got the other Warhammer game now coming out.
Which I can
which is a good segue.
I can play that. Yes.
What is that one called? Shadow?
That is Warhammer Age of Sigma.
That one, yes.
Tempest
rolls off the tongue.
Yes, if you speak fluent Klingon. Koplak.
And that one kind of came out of nowhere, which, I mean, it doesn't come out till next year, so it's not really out of nowhere, but I had never heard of it. And it just popped up randomly, and I think Upload VR put a trailer out for it.
They did.
And it looks really interesting. I mean, I don't know, but
it's also made by Carbon Studios, so if you're a fan of the Wizards,
right, exactly.
Graphically, I expect big things because the Wizards Dark Times looks phenomenal.
Are they going to be using that like gesture system that the Wizard has?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It looks like they're importing their gesture-based magic system over to it. At least that was my assumption watching the trailer, which is cool because they did awesome with. I loved the Wizards and the Wizards Dark Times. I played both of them and I thought they were fun games. I'm a huge Wizard fan. Anybody that watches my channel knows that I just love anything to do with magic, and gesture-based magic spell casting is really cool and it feels really good. And to see that they've done that, and now they've been approached with an IP that can essentially utilize that same system is really cool. And I think that it'll be cool if they utilize that and just make a really cool IP game out of it.
Just so you know, the game we was talking about earlier, the Warhammer one was called Battle Sister.
Yeah.
So that is a game coming up. I've played the whole demo. I think it's going to be one everyone's going to really enjoy.
Yeah. Once it's finished.
Once it's finished, yeah. It just wasn't in a correct. It wasn't in a way.
Visually, it didn't look. There was things that didn't look awful in it.
If it wasn't moving, it looked great.
Yes, right.
Yeah. In places,
but the gameplay was there was a lot of glitching and bugs going on based on the fact that it was an alpha. So I mean, I played Phantom Covert Ops in alpha, and there was glitches and bugs in it.
Boy Brown has said it is out next week. He's saying it is out. What is it on the store?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't had any emails.
So it was an
or
alpha a
anything.
couple of weeks ago, and it's going to be released.
Well, it depends. I mean, we got access to the thing is that alpha could have been even older.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
When
Well, that's why.
when me and Matt done Facebook Connect, that was I'd never even heard of it till then.
No.
And we watched the trailer, and I was like, dude, that looks fantastic.
Yeah. Just checking to see if they've. Oh, wait a second. It is on the Quest store.
Oh my god, I'm worried now.
I think. Let me
Maybe
see.
that alpha's really old.
I hope so. It's got single and multiplayer. It says.
Wow.
It's what it says. Let me look it up on my app on the app because usually that'll give more information. It says coming soon on here. Coming to. This doesn't say the platforms, but it's Pixel Toys is doing it. They're the ones that did the other zombie game on the Quest. I can't remember what it is.
Not that. Be careful what I say. There was a yeah. Anyway, so Vivian says buying a game for someone on Oculus is annoying. I don't think it exists. Yes, it is really annoying. I just want a gift card. My uncle's just got a Quest 2. I'd love to just buy him a game, or buy him, give him, something to open or with a card. But you can't do anything like that. So that's
it comes out November 12th.
Wow.
According to this, it was announced on September 16th. It comes out November 12th, which just seems weird. I should check. Maybe they've updated the game inside of the application.
They might have. I doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, the visuals, I'm looking at some pictures and recent pictures, and it looks incredible.
I thought it looked really good because you do like the bit of the story, but then you end up on like a starship as well, and like that's like your chapter selection place. That's really cool. That's what was annoying. That was the hard bit about the video. It's because I'd put a lot of time into it, and I was just like, ultimately, no, I can't do this. But yeah, the fact it's coming out then, at least, hopefully, people will forget about the alpha if anyone's made a video on it, and you'll see some good stuff from maybe Pumpkins in case he gets the Quest.
You never know. You never know. You're worming your way inside my mind right now.
Nah, man, you got
planting the seeds.
I just think if you enjoy virtual reality games and experiences,
oh no, I'm sure I would. I'm sure I would.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of listen. I've got to buy a PS5 soon.
Yeah.
And then,
but what are you buying PS5 for though? If you
well, I still love flat games. All right, so I can't deny that.
Yeah.
Demon Souls. We're going to talk about Demon Souls again. I'll talk about Demon Souls again.
That game looks absolutely phenomenal.
Oh my god, the lighting.
What are you playing it on though? Are you playing it on like boost mode, or you or are you playing for the 4? Is it? Well, I can't remember which, but there's two ways of playing it, isn't there? There's like you can play it at 30 frames.
Oh yeah. The performance.
Which
is dynamic 4K and 60, and then there's cinema mode or whatever, which is all the bells and whistles at 30.
Yeah,
I think I'm going for the bells and whistles. I got a 4K TV. I want to show that thing off. See what it can do.
Oh,
and then maybe another playthrough I'll do on 60 or whatever.
It looks stunning. Are you going to stream it?
If I can, yeah. But listen, we're like a week behind to get it, and I don't even know if I'm going to get a PS5 this year with the way they've been just flying off the shelves. Cannot get a pre-order. Yeah. So if I can get it, I will stream it.
I gotcha. Oh, Mysterion, Agos, Ubisoft contacted, got it, haven't played it yet, just haven't had time. And I'm not sure if I'm going to play that game raw, as in just go in and play it. I think I need to make sure I can play it, because it doesn't look like... It looks quite a serious game, Agos or AGOS. It looks very serious, so I need to figure that one out. But the fact there was a VR game from Ubisoft and not much was said about it was quite worrying. I think you got some negative reviews as well.
Have you talked about how the Ubisoft came out with their own list of games that wouldn't run on PS5?
I was going to mention that earlier. They've kind of changed their story a couple times now, haven't they?
Yeah, they removed it again. But they were saying Werewolves Within, I think Star Trek Bridge Crew, and Space Junkies that they wouldn't run on PS5. And then they're like, you know what, we made some mistakes. Let's retract this statement. So I don't know. But they didn't say what they made mistakes on. So
it's because they're not making any money out of them now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I don't think backwards compatibility is supposed to need any work from the developers. It's supposed to just run natively on the well, not natively, but in the PS4 backward compatibility mode that's on the PS5. So it shouldn't require any effort from Ubisoft unless there's some kind of issues that that maybe Sony are hiding or something. I don't know.
I'm very surprised at Matt's busy. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised that Star Trek isn't, because that is a cross-platform game. That should definitely get that treatment. Space Junkies, what the hell happened with that game? That was such a cool game. I really enjoyed that. Face creams. Someone. Why have I seen the word face cream? It's gone. It's moving.
The grids brought up something I want to say. Do you know how Sony released their own list as well, like 10 games, and like the Robinson the Journey, and DWVR was on it too.
Yeah.
But now that DW game, they're bringing out a patch so that it will run. So that makes you think, well, can the other ones bring out patches? So
that's
too?
it, man. That's it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Vivian, I want to do Star Trek. If you want to do a stream with Star Trek and be part of my crew, that you could be the captain. I don't know what your space miles are. I don't know. I mean,
I still need to play that game. I've played it very little.
I've been in space a lot. Star Trek was my #1 played game in VR for a very long time.
I love Werewolves Within.
I know you do.
I know
that
you
one
do.
doesn't
come, I like that one a lot.
I played that with some of the
drinks,
some of the game cats. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Ubisoft.
Well,
what's that? What are you looking for, Matt? Where are you going?
I'm looking at Warhammer 40,000.
Are you looking to see if it's updated?
Yeah.
And
I switched it in the on the website to the live version, and it's downloading. I don't know if it's still the live demo version, but it's not the Del Mar press release anymore.
Ah, cool. Cool.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but
yeah, we can just flip things around whenever we want. No worries. Vivian says, I just like to role play and make backstories for NPCs. Oh, okay. Cool. That'd be interesting on the bridge. Elgandina, hey guys, my 3070 arrived. You lucky. Mate, I've been checking for 3070s all the time.
I wasn't going to buy one, and I look every time I hear about it, and I still haven't found one. So I probably won't buy one still, but if I come across one, I might accidentally click the purchase button.
Yeah, they're so that price of that graphics card is crazy for what it can do. If you can, because I've got a 2070, and if you can, obviously we've seen the performances, I'm sure you have, of 2080 Ti, very close for that sort of money. And
yeah.
But then I've got the 3080. I think if the 3080 happened, I'd be like, ooh, what should I do? I don't know. Oh, you got to scan computers. Nice. Lord Necton, I'm 33rd in the queue for the 3080. Did you see like the Hitler meme thing for the graphics cards about AMD and Nvidia? Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. So good. But yeah, unless you guys got anything to add to the show today, anything else you want to talk about? I think it's been a lovely conversation.
Yeah, I think that
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I've spoken more than I should have probably.
No way. No, not at all. Never. Thank you ever so much for everyone in the chat today for joining us for this little chat. There just isn't much VR news going on that's really worth talking about as far as I'm concerned. Oh, there was the one about Ed Boon.
Oh, yeah.
Ed
Forgot about that.
Boon. And also, if anyone does know, it's Ed Boon. He's one of the creative guys behind Mortal Kombat. Was he the guy who used to pop over the screen and go, oh, I don't know if let me move my stuff, see if I can do it. Hold on, ready? Wait, I need to get, he go, whoop, and go back again. Was he the guy? Because they reckon it's not, but I'm not so sure.
Didn't he used to say toasty? I thought that's what he was saying.
I don't know what he said. It just sounded like, whoop, to me. Is that what he said? Toasty?
I could be wrong. I don't know.
I like the fact, that was like the birds in Finding Nemo. I nearly lost a lot of money on a bet because I thought the birds were in Australia, yeah, and the seagulls. Do you remember the film with the seagulls?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I need to get my.
Go on, don't explain it for me. Go on.
Well, basically, the birds, yeah, they say mine. That's what they say, mine. Yeah, mine, and they're chasing. Now, I thought they said mate. I thought they were saying mate all the time. I don't know why. And so did my wife, right? So we was laughing our heads off in the cinema because they're going, mate. And then, I said to this guy and he went, no, it's mine. We was just having a drink, and I was like, yeah, that was well funny. When they said, mate, and he went, no. They said, mine. I went, no, I'm telling you. They said, mate. And he went, I'll put money on it. And I went, I'll put money on it now. Yeah, I was wrong. But yeah, so I'm just wondering whether that was.
Well, chat's saying toasty.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
There you go. So how much do you owe me?
Nothing. Anyway, smoke. Yeah. Oh, Mortal Kombat is so cool. Identity Crisis. I love running this. Just listening while at work. Oh, cool, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Someone said they're playing Population 1 now while listening. That's pretty cool.
Well, that is cool.
That is cool. So, yeah, thank you ever so much to Petrifying Pumpkins. Check him out on YouTube. Yeah, and dude, thank you ever so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Let me know if you get a quest. I got a feeling you're not going to.
We'll see. If I come into money, you know, if I keep winning bets about toasties, you know, we'll see.
Nice, man. Nice. And Matt, superb. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been awesome as always.
It has been a great laugh. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you especially for all your donations. Anyone who subscribes, hit the likes button and all that stuff. It's all good. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you in a week. Stay safe. And bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.